on an all-new Dr. Phil.
My panic attacks have gotten out of control.
Her list of triggers.
Can't locate a bathroom, undercooked foods, the topic of just throwing up. If you feel like you're getting really nauseated, you will spray perfume directly into your eyes.
Yes.
Does she really want help?
You found a treatment that was making significant improvement, and you quit.
Well, the drive out there was over an hour.
Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
Today's going to be a changing day in your life.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you. We are talking about fears and phobias today. Now, everyone has something they might be a little more afraid of than it actually represents a threat. Now, for some, it's spiders. In fact, that's the #1 phobia. For others, it's a fear of heights. We ask our audience to write down their top fear. So everybody, please hold up your card. What did you write down? All right, let's see. Oh, bugs, bats, my dog dying, spiders, bugs, aging, heights, snakes, getting lost, snakes. Okay, see, everybody has something. Well, I didn't hear the one thing that my guest today is deathly afraid of. Jamie says she's terrified of throwing up and has to know where a bathroom or trash can is at all times. If not, she says she will have an anxiety attack filled with muscle spasms and hair pulling. Jamie is engaged to Brent, and they are set to be married in the fall of next year. But Jamie is worried she'll never make it down the aisle without getting sick.
When I was 17, I was diagnosed with emetophobia. That is the fear of throwing up. I would rather die than have to handle that situation. In the last 9 years, my panic attacks have gotten out of control.
This is how bad it gets.
I can have up to 4 to 7 panic attacks a day. Out of the month, I have about 3 to 4 days that I feel normal, but the rest of the month, it is absolute torture.
6 bottles, 6.
I feel my heart racing out of my chest. I feel it in every joint in my body.
Whenever I go out, I have to have my purse with me at all times. I have a bunch of different nausea medicines, breath strips, some gum, different mints. I also keep another medicine on me for nausea.
When the gum and mints aren't working, I reach for a cheap bottle of perfume and spray it directly in my eyes. It distracts me from the feelings in my stomach. I would rather have my eyes burning than to be even a little bit nauseous. My panic attacks start when I hear stories about other people being sick, not knowing where a bathroom is or a trash can. Right now, I have a trash can next to me, and I feel 90% better. One of my biggest triggers is long car rides. When I got a call from the Dr. Phil show, I just knew that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I have to do it. Dr. Phil was definitely worth the car ride.
But it's not just a fear of vomiting that takes over her life. Jamie says she also has OCD. Now, you hear that a lot, and people don't really understand. It's obsessive thoughts or compulsive behaviors. It's not the same thing. It'd be thoughts or behaviors. So I ask our audience again, do you have any compulsive behaviors that you have to do over and over in order to feel right? So let me see, what did you guys say? Do you have any little habits? Can't fall asleep if I hear breathing or heartbeats. You have to fill the ice trays, counting taps, okay, brushing teeth for 15 minutes 2 times a day, checking things over and over. Checking is a big thing. There's another checking, another checking, another checking. Well, Jamie says her OCD is so bad she has to lock the door several times, just like many of you. and count everything she does with even numbers, just like Michelle said over here. Let's see what she has to say.
My OCD is also ruining my life. I will open the refrigerator, let go, touch it, do it again, and then I do it one more time. 4, and then always before I leave my fridge, I switch hands and I touch it 4 times just so that they're even on both sides of my arms. Something about even numbers is very calming to me. And if anything is at an odd number, I feel like I'm gonna throw up. If I'm on my phone swiping, I have to swipe down because if I swipe up, it feels like something's coming out of me. Every time I touch my phone, I'm usually touching it between 16 to 36 times. When I walk into a room and someone asks me to turn a light on, it is a very stressful situation for me. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Need to do a couple times with my left hand. Now I'm even on both hands.
So can you not turn the light on again?
I cannot turn the light on again. When my OCD first started, everything that I did had to be in 2s or 4s. But as my anxiety has grown, I have had to move up to 8 to 16, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then I would 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and then I would continue with the next steps. If I could get back every second that I have wasted on my OCD tendencies, I would get an extra year back on my life, definitely.
Well, Jamie, I'm glad you're here.
I'm glad to be here.
You worked hard to get here. You came a long way, right? How long was your drive?
26 hours.
26 hours. And I heard you say that talking to me was worth it. So that puts a lot of pressure on me. You understand that, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I have to really deliver now.
Yeah.
Now, one of Jamie's biggest triggers is not knowing where a trash can is. Well, off stage, I have a table with a trash can and the other items like water, gum, mints that make her feel safe. I don't feel like you really need it out here because I have this calming effect on people. And it's been 5 years since you've actually needed a trash can, right? But it's right there. So you know where it is.
Yeah.
Does that help you?
It does a lot.
Yeah, okay, good. Looking back, just in your own mind, where do you think this emanates from? Where's it come from?
I really have no idea. I just remember having this my entire life.
At 4 years of age, you vomited in the car on the way to Disneyland, right? Okay, at 7 years old, there was a burp contest. And a girl went a little too far and actually vomited, and it kind of got all over the place, but it wasn't too horrible. You don't remember it being too bad. But then when you were 9 years old, you lived in the path of Hurricane Katrina, right?
I did.
And you had 15 feet of water in your neighborhood, in your house. And that was very traumatic for you, right? And then you had your first real stomach virus at 11. And at 14, that's the first time you remember having an anxiety attack to the point that you had tics, muscle tics, pulled your hair. And this was in a bathroom at high school, right? Teacher came in and you were in there crying and you were having these muscle spasms and hyperventilating and couldn't stop. That was the first time for that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, it wasn't until a few years later that someone actually diagnosed you with a phobia and said it was a metaphobia. And then the last time you were sick was 5 years ago. So you haven't vomited for 5 years, or over 5 years.
Yes.
Right.
I try to do everything I can to avoid it.
Yeah. So you're being held hostage by something that hasn't happened in half a decade. Okay. Now, Jamie says the thought of throwing up gives her 3 to 4 anxiety attacks a day. She says they get so bad that she'll twitch and pull her hair. And she recorded an example, so let's take a look at it.
So, this is how bad it gets. my dog starts freaking out. This happens probably 4 to 5 times a day. Every now and then I'll have a good day, but today's been a bad day. When I'm like this, I have to sit by the toilet because just in case I get sick, but I don't think I'm actually sick. I think it's just my anxiety. I don't know what it is. This kind of attack usually lasts about 5 to 6 hours if I don't take a Xanax. Usually when this is over, I have a severe migraine from all the twitching that I do. I just don't want to live like this anymore.
So when you say, I don't like this anymore, you're saying enough's enough.
I'm to my breaking point now.
All right, well, coming up, Jamie's fiance says he has to walk on eggshells around Jamie because the smallest thing can set her off and cause an anxiety attack, and he's not always sure what that will be. We're going to meet him next and find out what it's like to be in a relationship with Jamie.
Living with Jamie, it's definitely been a roller coaster ride.
This is kind of what happened.
When Jamie starts to have an attack,
It's just me.
she likes to be touched on the arms or rubbed on the back. How is it that the girl that is terrified of getting sick is also feeling sick more often than anybody else I know?
All right, we're on day 2 of driving, and we're gonna be in the car for 12 hours today.
The trip was going to be about a 27-hour drive. It turned into more of a 36, 37-hour drive. We had to stop about every hour and a half because her anxiety will start to rise.
There was a few stops where instead of sitting down, I had to force myself to lay down. That was the only way to get the weight off of my chest that I was feeling.
She only had one really bad attack during the whole drive, and that attack was so bad that she didn't even want me to touch her.
Well, that was Jamie's fiance, Brent, talking about their struggle to get here and what it's like living with Jamie on a daily basis. Brent says he wants to take care of Jamie and is her main emotional and financial support system, even though it has caused tension in their relationship.
Jamie is bubbly, courageous, and fascinating to me. But when Jamie is anxious, you can just see the fear and hopelessness in her eyes.
This is kind of what happened.
About 3 months of dating, we were watching a horror movie, ironically, about phobias, and I started to get a little sick. When I went out the bathroom, I just saw her in the doorway looking all terrified. You could see in her eyes that she wanted to help, but at the same time, she couldn't get over her own fear. For some people, that would push them away. For me, it pulled me right in, and that was the moment I realized I love this girl and I want to take care of her. I've been living with Jamie for about 3 years. It's definitely been a roller coaster ride. Every now and then tensions can rise and our tempers can flare up. It's not so much she doesn't want to go out. She doesn't know what the surroundings are going to be, when or if she's going to get sick. So we'll make the compromise that she can take her own car. She can leave whenever she wants. Anything that gets her out the house makes me happy. When Jamie starts to have an attack, my options really pretty limited.
Why did you get bad now?
It's just me. It's just me.
I just like to rationalize with her, and she likes to be touched on the arms or rubbed on the back, something that can distract her from her anxiety. What I'm trying to figure out is, how is it that the girl that is terrified of getting sick is also the girl that's feeling sick more often than anybody else I know?
Well, Brent, good to meet you.
Good to meet you too.
You've been really flexible here. You try to bend with what you need to do in order to maximize her functioning, right? To get her out of the house. She needs to take her own car, just so we go, right? So you're trying to do what you can to expand her world.
Yes.
But it's still pretty small, right? Because you say that you're only awake 5 to 7 hours a day.
I sleep a lot.
Yeah, so you go to bed at like 2, 3 in the morning, you get up at 10 or 11, you walk the dogs, and then you're only awake 5 or 7 hours. But So you get up at 10 or 11, you're awake 5 to 7 hours. That would take you to 8 or 9, but then you don't go to bed till 2. That math doesn't work. What do you do? But you're in bed is what you're saying.
I'm always in bed.
That's your safe zone.
Yes.
You feel on that mattress, in that
Even
room.
looking at the pictures, I feel more comfortable.
Yeah, because that's your comfort zone.
It is.
Okay. And you say you walk on eggshells because you're not sure what's going to trigger her at any given time. And I kind of went in, we pulled out a list of everything you kind of mentioned as a trigger. If you can't locate a bathroom, you're thinking about weddings, social media swipes, you have to swipe
Down. It has to
down,
go
not
in.
up, because up is like up Chuck, not so you got to swipe down. Long car rides because you feel trapped, not a bathroom in the car. Undercooked foods, if you feel bloated, possibility of food poisoning, no trash cans, the topic of just throwing up. These are just a few of the major ones, right? And we've been talking about emetophobia, throwing up, vomiting, burp contest, falls apart. We've been talking about all of that today, and you seem to be coping with it okay. I told you I have this calming effect on people. You will spray perfume directly into your eyes.
Yes. The pain is more prominent than the actual anxiety, so I forget about it.
You have certain behaviors that are associated with your anxiety. And for example, you do have panic attacks. You have anxiety, which is just kind of there almost all the time. But then you have spikes in the panic attacks. And that involves tics, maybe muscle tics, jerking sort of things, hair pulling, picking at or ripping at your skin. And then you have to prepare your purse. You have all these things in your purse that help fight it off, because certain smells help fight things off, and mints, things like that. And you said one of the things that you do is if you feel like you're getting really nauseated, you will spray perfume directly into your eyes.
Yes.
To sting, because that's a distraction, right? You get tattoos and piercings.
I do.
And how is that calming to you?
There's just a therapeutic effect about and having pain put to me. It distracts my brain from feeling nauseous, and the pain is more prominent than the actual anxiety.
Is there a time in your life that you have been into cutting?
I was
Okay.
for not long, though, because my friends noticed and they confronted me. They wanted me to stop, so I stopped immediately when other people were starting to
But
notice.
same logic is that was a acute, sharp pain
Yes.
that crowded out the background of anxiety. Okay, and what's up with dyeing your hair? Because you've had lots of different hair colors.
Yes.
How does that help you if it does?
I feel like when I'm dyeing my hair, I'm kind of in my own little self-care zone.
There's a continuum of human behavior, and I want to show you the continuum. And what I'm saying is the continuum goes all the way from just kind of common, non-disruptive behaviors. This is just kind of what everybody does every day. You just put things down here. These are things like waking up in the morning, brushing your teeth, combing your hair, doing this, that, and the other. And this goes all the way down here. And, maybe here there are some idiosyncratic behaviors here. These are things that, aren't real disruptive to your life, but maybe they're unique to you. Maybe you have a certain thing you do that nobody else does. And we can just decide that it's charming. It's just kind of your way, your nuance, the way you do things. And then you get all the way down here to what I would call, this is the pathology realm. This is where things down here are to the point that they disrupt your life. They impair your functioning. They get in the way of you pursuing normal goals. So I asked the audience if they had things that they were afraid of. Hold up your signs, audience, the things that you were afraid of. You've got them handy there. You see eels, needles, failure, clowns, intruders, being alone, bats, bugs, spiders. Everybody has something that their number one fear. So it's on the normal continuum of behavior. But it's only when it gets way down here that starts disrupting, and we don't need to get rid of it. We just need to pull it back. And Brent, do you have anything that's kind of a fear of yours?
A fear of mine? Jamie dying young, because all her anxiety, I'm sure that puts a lot of mileage on her heart, and I'm just worried about her dying young one day.
Okay. So that's something that kind of dominates your thinking some, but it doesn't paralyze you.
No, it doesn't paralyze me.
Okay.
It makes me want to strive to work harder, figure it out.
Yeah. Well, up next, Jamie's parents say their daughter was very active with dancing and cheerleading growing up, but when she stopped, she became even more focused on her phobia. Does that make sense? I think it does. We'll talk about that and meet her parents when we come back.
It wasn't until Jamie went to college I saw how anxiety impacted her.
My fiance, Brent, is the first man that treats me with the level of respect that my parents say I deserve. He makes me so happy. I actually told him about my phobia the first night. Our wedding date is scheduled for October 1st of 2022. I'm so scared that I'm gonna be walking down the aisle and it's gonna be ruined by my anxiety. I worry that when we're doing our vows and everybody's watching us, that I would start to have muscle spasms and I'm gonna be shaking or twitching. It might look like I'm having a seizure or something, but in reality, I'm just anxious.
Well, that was Jamie talking about her fear of walking down the aisle, which is a problem because she's in love and she wants to get married. She says she's even afraid she'll get sick in the 2-hour drive to see her parents. Now, Christy and Jerry say she has always been dependent on them and can't last more than a week alone.
Started noticing changes with Jamie about 7.
She would attempt to sleep at a friend's house, and then we'd get a call about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Mommy, I'm sick. Please help me. I can't sleep. I'm anxious. My stomach's upset.
If she saw someone on television being sick, whether it's a movie, a cartoon, it would trigger something. She would turn and leave the room.
She started complaining of a stomach ache and saying that she was nauseous. After taking her to the doctors told us there was nothing major going on. In 2005, when Hurricane Katrina hit, we lost everything. Our community, everything that my kids had been brought up around was now gone. She had PTSD from Katrina. It contributed to her anxiety.
In high school, she was becoming more anxious. I don't believe she was as comfortable taking the school bus. School buses aren't fun to begin with, especially if you have a fear of being sick.
As she got older, she still participated in competitive dance. Even with the anxiety and anxiousness, she pushed through. She actually danced on stage with 102 fever.
It wasn't until Jamie went to college I saw how anxiety impacted her.
At first, I thought it was because she was away from home and all the activities that she had been in her entire life had abruptly come to a halt. It was getting worse. She would get inside her head and she would spiral out of control. Jamie would call, Mommy, I'm sick. I need help. I don't know what to do. Jamie was having very severe anxiety attacks, twitching, pulling her hair. My biggest fear for Jamie is that she'll be spiraling one day and she won't be able to get out. The fear will be too great and that she'll commit suicide.
Well, joining me virtually are Jamie's parents, Christy and Jerry. Thank you for joining us. You've been listening so far, right?
Yes, sir.
You mentioned some interesting things there. How old was Jamie when we saw her dancing? You said at one point she was even dancing with 102 temperature in a competition. How old was she here?
She was probably like 16, I'm sorry.
Okay, so this was certainly after all of this had started and she had had the episode in the bathroom at school. You say you don't know where this came from, but Christy, you suffer from Crohn's disease, correct?
Yes, sir.
You've had 8 surgeries.
Yes.
So she grew up seeing and around that. And by the way, there are basically 3 categories of phobias. There's social phobia, just the phobia of being judged by people or being embarrassed in front of a crowd, things like that. Just, social phobia, being out among people. And then there's agoraphobia, which is just kind of the fear of being in kind of big, wide open spaces. And then there are specific fears of like heights or spiders or whatever. And specific fears usually are formed between ages of 4 and 8, somewhere in there. And this was some of the years, Christy, that you were going through some of your struggles that she was growing up with, correct?
Yes.
Uh-huh. So you were exposed to that. I mean, I look at it and I see a lot of stimulus for why you might have fixated on this particular thing. Mm-hmm. But you say you really want to get better.
I really do.
Why do I not completely believe that?
Because I still have doubt that it'll always be with me no matter what I do.
I really question whether Jamie really wants this to go away. And I'm going to tell you why I question that when we come back.
I know we've enabled Jamie paying her bills, taking her places, allowing her to stay in her room.
There would be times where I'd give her money and say, hey, don't tell your mom, but you need to have cash on you tonight.
We still pay her car insurance and cell phone. Brent has now assumed a lot of the financial responsibilities, which has helped us tremendously. I definitely believe enables Jamie.
I'm sure I do enable her. A lot of times just giving her what she wants isn't worth the discussion to refuse her.
I have some good news and some bad news.
Okay.
Would you like to hear it?
I would.
Here's the good news. This is a highly treatable syndrome. Here's the bad news. This is a highly treatable syndrome.
Why is that bad news?
Because it would take away from you
It's kind of all I am now.
an excuse that you have used to avoid a whole lot of your life. Look, people don't do things over and over and over consistently without getting a significant payoff. So when I see somebody doing something in pattern, I ask myself, what's the payoff? What are you getting out of this? Now, you said you went to therapy, and you said you did exposure therapy, which is a very relevant, evidence-based treatment for phobias. And you said it actually helped you, and you quit. You found a treatment that was making significant improvement in your phobic behavior, your phobic experience, and you quit. Why?
Well, the drive out there was over an hour. It was hard to get there, and I couldn't afford it eventually. It was getting really expensive.
Now I love that you said that.
Yeah. I always have excuses.
Oh, yes, you do. And we're talking here about someone whose life is paralyzed. You spend your entire life, most of your waking hours, on your bed. You can't go out. You're afraid you're going to be unable to walk down the aisle. This has dominated y'all's relationship. And you said, well, it's an hour drive.
Yeah.
It's a little expensive. What do you think you've spent maintaining this phobia? Guys, parents, talk to me here. The average time to treat a phobia and eliminate it, cure it, I'm not talking about managing it, I'm talking about curing it, is 11 or 12 sessions. She's been living with this for years.
Because we enabled her.
This is fixable, and you're not fixing it. And you were on the road to fixing it and quit. And you've never returned to it. And what are you doing to fix it now?
I'm taking medication and sleeping.
So in other words, nothing.
Nothing right now.
You did drive 26 hours to get here, and I give you that.
Thank you.
That I give you big credit for making this major step to come here to deal with this. That tells me that you're shifting gears.
Yeah.
But do you get what I'm saying? She can fix this. She was fixing this and quit, and she knows how to do it. She knew something was working. She's never returned to it.
Yeah.
Now, up next, I want to find out if Jamie is really ready to work on getting her normal life back, if she's really willing to do what it takes to get this under control, and I'm going to tell you how to do it when we come back. Jamie and Brent say they're getting married next year, and Jamie says she fears getting sick even while walking down the aisle. Would you like to know why you fixate on that? I mean, you came 26 hours and didn't get sick. Why would you be afraid that you couldn't walk 30 or 40 feet? Would you like to know why?
Why?
Because it matters to you.
It does.
I mean, when it's something that you really care about, that's when you think, well, the other shoe's going to drop and it's going to ruin it. I'm going to get to something I really care about, and this is going to rear its ugly head, and I'm going to vomit all over everybody and ruin the whole thing. And that's my fear, is that I've got this monster that lurks here, and I'm due. I'm due. It's been 5 years. I'm due.
Yeah, I've said that to myself multiple times.
Oh, I
I'm
know
like,
you
I'm
have.
well
I've written
overdone.
down what you've said. And your mother said some things too. Words are very powerful, guys. And if we use catastrophic language, we tend to have catastrophic reactions. And like Christy, you said, I fear she's going to spiral out of control so badly that she will not be able to pull out of it.
I did. No, I did. And I'm still afraid of that. What if she over-medicates? She's spiraling. She takes a Xanax and forgets that she's taking it.
Whoa. She's not spiraling. She's laying on her bed all day long. You're all a bunch of lackeys working for her phobia. You will blow up his phone, dramatize what's going on to manipulate him into coming home.
I have done that before.
I told her, it's like, she can't always be at an 11 when it's really like a 5 or 6 or something like that.
But she'll ratchet it up,
Yeah.
whatever it takes to get your attention. Because I said people don't do things without a payoff.
Yeah.
And the payoff is she can control you. Now, I don't want to miscommunicate either. You have a real problem. I don't think you're a malingerer. I don't think you make all of this up just to escape accountability or to not have to do things. I think you really do have a legitimate problem, and that if I were to see you privately, I would probably diagnose you with having a garden variety phobia, and it would need to be treated. It coexists with a degree of OCD that is also an extension of anxiety, so it's kind of all balled together. So I think you legitimately have an issue, but you've gotten in a comfort zone.
I have.
Without realizing it, we've been here for an hour, and you've been just fine. And we've talked about things that would normally cause you terrible problems, and you have demonstrated the ability to gut up and do it. You didn't have to do that. You didn't have to be here, which is why I say I give you huge credit for, you didn't have to be here. You could have stayed there. You kind of had these people kind of mesmerized and going along, but you called yourself out.
I did.
Will she now finish that loop and get this out of her life so they can be a young, happy, fun couple? We'll find out when we come back. Brent, be honest with me. I mean, totally uncensored. What's your reaction to my observations and what I'm saying here?
I like everything you're saying. She's not officially diagnosed, but my unprofessional opinion, she might have borderline personality disorder, and the emetophobia is an offshoot trait of that.
Wow. That is a shocking response.
Yeah.
You want to know why it's shocking to me?
Why is that?
Because what I'm talking about is eliminating the one thing that is paralyzing her life and keeping her on her bed 80% of her life.
Mm-hmm.
And your response was, yeah, but there might be something else.
Yeah. It's just,
What do you mean there might be something else? Yeah, she also might have a sprained ankle. But what the hell does that have to do with dealing with the fact that we are zeroing in on the fact that she can eliminate the one thing that has paralyzed her and y'all's relationship, and that she's manipulating you with it?
And I totally agree with the zeroing down.
Whether she has BPD or whatever, which I think I see absolutely no evidence of whatsoever. I'm not diagnosing her, but I'm just telling you, I can recite the traits and characteristics of BPD backwards.
Yeah.
And she doesn't check the boxes.
Okay.
I was hoping for some support, but absent that, let me tell you what I think you need to do.
Okay.
I think you need to get back into specific treatment for your phobia. And we can take that piece off the board. And with taking that piece off the board, you simultaneously need to realign your lifestyle. You don't need to be sleeping till, what time do you normally get up?
Whenever he gets off work, so.
2, 3 o'clock.
2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon? Yeah. You need to be getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning. You need to get showered. You need to get dressed. You need to clean your bedroom up so it looks like a bedroom instead of a hideout, and go out at least into the house. You need to go to work. You need to get a job. We are in a pandemic. I get that. I will arrange for you to have teletherapy with someone that is specifically trained to treat a phobia. I'll do it through Doctor On Demand. It's a company that we own, and I'll set it up for 10 sessions, 15 sessions, whatever it takes to deal with the phobia aspect of this. And I think you're motivated to do it.
I am.
Are you glad you came here?
I'm so glad I came.
All right, fair enough. I want to thank all of my guests today. If you at home want to have your own Doctor On Demand, just go to the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, download the Doctor On Demand app, and you're all set. For more information about today's show, log on to drphil.com. You can also join me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. And on Facebook, we talk about these shows at the end of the day. We have a really great group on Facebook called Dr. Phil Fanatics. It's the only place for superfans to discuss episodes, gain access to Dr. Phil news first, and also talk to other people about the topics and exchange information that can really help you. It's a great support group in there. You'd really enjoy that. And don't forget to subscribe to Robin's podcast, I've Got a Secret. And let me tell you, she's got a lot of hot topics to share. And if you'd like to, the secret to claiming your gold medal life, every week she's joined by different celebrities, experts, and entrepreneurs. Together, they share, learn, and grow, and really have a good time and laugh. You don't want to miss that. Stay safe. We'll see you next time.
How do you feel about what Dr. Phil said?
He made a lot of fair points, and he did mention some things that I didn't realize I was doing to the people around me, so.
Yeah, he seemed to do a really good job at simplifying what seems so complicated.
Some of the things hurt a little bit. It was something that we both needed to hear.
I know I enable her. It's just I'm human too, and some days I want to be more loving and caring, even if it is giving in to her demands.
I had a few little twitches and tics here and there, but I just pretended I was at a therapy session. The biggest thing that made me feel more comfortable was looking at Robin. She has such a kind face, and every time I would look at her, she'd smile at me, and I'd just feel like I centered myself again. She had a really calming presence. Something that happened that really stood out to me was that all the people held up signs of different things that they're afraid of. It was so inspiring just to see that everybody else has something that they're afraid of, and it's not just me. I really look forward to trying the Doctors on Demand that he recommended for me.